Hi everybody. So today I have a big, giant, oversized kind of vase filled with some water, and I have it because I am going to be soaking my Tillandsia today. Oops, bumping my camera mount. There we go. Okay, that's a little better. So again, I'm going to be soaking my Tillandsia. I, as you can see, have them on craft wire right now, and that is how I have them displayed. I have them hanging from something in my home with this. It's a copper colored craft wire, but it's also coated in nylon, so I'm really not worried about having that wire here in the water. It should be just fine. And again, I ended up wrapping my Tillandsia, I want to say, in the wire. Gosh, I don't know. All of the Tillandsia you see here, only about half of these were originally mine, and the other half came to me through other folks who ended up struggling with them maybe a little bit, and so I brought them into my house. And there's a lot of kind of different advice about Tillandsia and if you should soak it, and if so, for how soak Tillandsia themselves, and if you do soak them, how long should you soak them for. There's other people who really think you should just stick to misting, and I do mist quite a bit. However, it's been so long, and here's the largest one that I have, and it's not going to fit in with the others, and so I had to think about what container I could use. And I ended up, like I told you in my last video, I'm really into upcycling things, and when I end up getting something that's more of a durable plastic or glass, I tend to hang on to it when I can, because just like here, it usually comes in handy later. And so I wrap them in the wire, and I tend to heavily mist them, but it's been a while and they really do need a good soak, so I decided to go ahead and do that. And then here is something that I picked up at Target. I have a couple things that I wanted to show you. The first is this watering can. I had a black plastic watering can for a really long time that had a much thicker stem here. You can see this is pretty thin. I'm really excited. It's gonna allow me to water plants that really shouldn't have water that gets on the leaves. That was harder to do with my last can, and so I'm hoping that this makes it easier. It holds about the same amount of water, however, and it's quite a bit more decorative than the last. However, I don't know if that means that it's going to be any good, so I might follow up with that. But yeah, it's just a watering can. As you can see here, not for food use. I got it at Target, and I saw it and I really liked it right away. I was a little bit, I don't know, I wasn't convinced necessarily as soon as I saw it as nice as I thought that it looked, because again, I'm gonna have to test it out and see. Sometimes, especially when these are metal, they leak. And here is something else I got. It's a planter figurine set, and if you don't know, I really like to have these kind of like little decorations in my plants. This is one that I got, I want to say about a year ago now. It's a tiny little mushroom, just like the others. Instead of being gold toned though, this is like this purple one. And I actually got larger ones like this. I've got a set, I think, of 3. And you can see it here. This is it with my Calathea medallion. And I just like to stick them in the pot and have them hang out. I'm really into giving my plants a little pizzazz, I guess, or just a little interesting focal point in the potting soil. And so I really enjoy having this one here with the medallion, and I thought when I saw the gold toned ones, this would be really pretty too. So the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that when I'm looking here at the bottom of them, I don't know, I'm thinking about what they're actually going to look like and how far they're going to need to go down, because when you've got a really fast draining potting soil, it's loose. I don't like the soil to be compact. So looking at that, we'll see. Let's see how it goes. Maybe I'll follow up on that too. But I thought that these again were great. Like I said, I like a little pizzazz sometimes. The holidays are coming, the winter holidays. And just looking even at the packaging, I was looking at this, and again, I love to upcycle things. I feel like it would be great if you were traveling just to those grommets in the packaging. You could probably organize your earrings that way, just to keep them, if you've got ones that dangle, from getting tangled, or from keeping studs from getting too loose. So maybe I'll actually go ahead and use this in another capacity once I've actually removed these mushrooms. But there's 3 different styles of mushrooms. I think they're really cute, and they go with that theme that I've got already going on. And I don't know if I've ever told you, but I did have a mushroom actually grow inside of a ZZ plant. In my ZZ plant, I had a mushroom grow out of the soil. I've never had it happen before. It hasn't happened since. It was really interesting. So here's a quick plant update. I get a lot of requests for me to show what my Birkin looks like now, and I want to say I get about 1 a week. And so I think I just showed this last month, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead. It has a new leaf, and it's going to have another new leaf that's coming out. And to be honest with you, the variegation that's starting to show up is a lot different than what was actually there before. And so I thought this was a pretty significant change. So as you can see, when I got the plant, it came bare root. It was very small. I knew that, and it didn't really have any variegation on the leaves. And I knew that that was going to be the case as well. That's because when these plants are young, they tend to not have any of the variegation, and sunlight seems to play a really big role. This leaf here is its newest leaf, and you can see that variegation is very striking. This was right here to the right, this leaf here. Now when it came out, I noticed it had a little bit more variegation here along the center and along the bottom, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's finally really starting to happen. However, when this leaf came out, I go, oh yeah, it's gonna get a lot more intense, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what I was looking for in the Birkin when I picked it up. So like I said, as soon as that last leaf came out, this leaf was already starting to kind of creep out from the center. I'm trying to get my hand back here so you can see. But this leaf, even though it's a really pale green right now, has quite a bit, oh, there we go, we're gonna focus, quite a bit of variegation, just like the last leaf that came out. And so I don't know if it's kind of really hit maturity. It's getting a lot of sun sitting in an eastern window. It gets some direct light during the morning through the window though, filtered through the window, through a screen. And there is a structure that actually bounces light back. So even though it's an eastern window, they still get pretty good light. And I would say even up until maybe 3 o'clock. And so I noticed the dust when I pulled this out, and I just took care of this. Oh, sorry about that. I've got my computer making noise. I just actually had rinsed all of my philodendron off and did a little caretaking, and I noticed they're already dusty. I don't know if it's just that time of year or what, but I decided to give them a rinse. And here's my Tillandsia. I'm just checking on them. They're having their nice soak. I did leave them in today for, I would say, about 40 minutes all together. And I have to say, I really like that I left the wire on, because it did allow me to kind of really get them in there soaking so that they're not all vying and kind of floating there on the top, vying for the kind of top space and not really being submerged in the water. So again, it's been a while for these Tillandsia. They're looking a little bit dry. So once it had been, like I said, 30 minutes, I actually ended up resetting the timer for another 10 minutes, thinking that, you know what, I'm just gonna give them a little bit of an extra long soak. It is around that time of year when sometimes the heater would be coming on. Where I am in California right now, we're still getting 80-degree weather, so definitely not time for the heater. Yeah, it might be coming soon, and I just really want to make sure the Tillandsia are protected. And at the same time, if you've ever had a Tillandsia rot, you know how careful you want to be with water and when you apply it. So I do make sure that when I'm soaking Tillandsia, that one, I dry them upside down, and this dish rack that I ended up converting into kind of a, I don't know, it's like a plant drainage space these days. It allows me to let them dry out, and I try to get, I dry them out completely before I put them back, and I dry them upside down. And that allows me to make sure that they don't have water that's sitting there near their base. Definitely, when you do that, you can end up with the Tillandsia rotting. And one of the things about Tillandsia is, I was actually, what inspired me a little bit to film this was I was watching Plants for My Therapy the other day, and there was a great Tillandsia video with lots of large, beautiful Tillandsia. I have these really small Tillandsia, and I'm very bad at their names. Unlike some folks here on YouTube, they can tell you the names of any of these. I think that the ones that I've had where I've struggled a little bit, and I've had them at times for 2 years or more, but still end up having rot at the end, I think they're Celeriana, and they're really beautiful. I've got that one right there toward the bottom of the screen. And what ended up happening, I think, was that I was misting them down too late in the day, and then they weren't getting enough sunlight as they were drying. They were holding onto moisture. And even though the Celeriana, you would think, have less spots to kind of hold that moisture in, what ended up happening to 2 of the Celeriana that I've had previously, because I originally had 3, 2 of them about a year apart started to actually rot. And it's one of those things where you see a spot, you start pulling things off, and then before you know it, the whole thing's unraveling and it's rotted at the center. So I'll make sure that these stay here on the rack, getting nice and dry, and ready to go back up. I am thinking about ways to incorporate them for kind of Christmas holiday season, and I think I'm going to be trying to decorate actually quite a few of my plants and maybe some of my planters this year. And so if I do that, I was thinking about maybe actually, I know some people do Vlogmas, but this might be more like a Plantmas, and doing something where I do a video a day in the first parts of December showing off my plants. So I hope you've enjoyed watching. I really enjoyed making this video and sharing this with you. If you have any tips for Tillandsia and Tillandsia care, you know how much I love getting advice and suggestions in the comments. So please be sure to share your wisdom with me. It's always appreciated. And until next time, be well and take care.